Hello, this is Yummy Pajama Man, and today we're going to learn about for loops. As you can see, there's a lot of for loops on the screen, and that's all we're going to talk about. So the for loop. So before we learned about the while loop in my last tutorial, if you've seen that. So the while loop is just looping on the basis of a condition. So the while loop has the potential to loop forever. And then by contrast, the for loop, it is like a while loop, except it loops and it iterates a number of times. So the while loop iterates potentially forever, and then the for loop iterates a number of times in the program. So as you can see, I have a lot of for loops. So let's run the module to see that everything will be okay, and we should see a lot of stuff because it's looping through the program. And that's it. I mean, that's not it here, but yeah, so that's the output, so everything's okay. So we can see this. You can pause the program, write this all out, so it'll just be easier for you guys. And so starting with the first for loop, I've actually organized this from the very first for loop that I could think of to the most complex that I could think of at the end. So we'll go through each one, and I will describe what each for loop does in the program. So for the first one, so the whole setup of the for loop, you'll need the keyword for, as you can see right here, and then you're going to have a variable in, use the keyword in, and then for the first one, I'm using a explicit list. So this whole thing is called a list, which I will go over later on, probably, I don't know, later on. I won't describe in detail what a list is. A list, I mean, I'll describe it right now, but a list is just, it holds a bunch of values in a list. A list is a list. It just holds values. As you can see, you see the integer 1, you can see the string hun, you can see the float 7.6. So a list can hold different values. So I'll just say that for the list. I'll describe more about the list later on, so don't worry about that. So this is the syntax. The syntax for the for loop is for variable in explicit list, or using the function named range, which this built-in function will return a list. So this one right here, range parentheses 5 parentheses, will return a list of starting from 0 to 4. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. So pretty much this whole thing translates to, for x in bracket, you'll have 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then print x. So after defining the for loop header, or the for clause, as they might call it, you want to go down here and define your body under the for clause. So that's what I did right here. So I'll print var. So what's happening up here is that 1 is assigned to var first, and then it goes down to here and print var. So the output will be 1. Then next in the list is hun, which is a string. So the string hun will be assigned to var, and then that will be printed out to be hun. So the first line will be 1 for the output, the second line will be hun for the second line, and then the third line will be 7.6. Because 7.6 assigned to var, you print var, which contains 7.6 for the third iteration. When it comes to the very end of the list, it will stop and get out of the for loop. So how many times will this iterate for this one? It'll iterate or loop 3 times, because there's only 3 elements in a list. And I'll go over a list like later on, not in this tutorial, but later on. So I don't think I discussed lists, so this should be new to you guys. If I did, then you guys should probably know, but I'm pretty sure I didn't discuss list, so I'll discuss the list later on. So now you can see that this is a explicit list. This function named range, which is built in because it's purple, right? Print is built in, range is built in. So range parentheses 5 parentheses will return a list with a bracket starting with 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The value that you see here, which is 5, that is the end value when it's specified like this. So if the range only has one value, that's the end value. And the start value will be implicitly a 0. It'll start out with 0. And so it'll print 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 for the next 4 clause. Now, down here, we actually explicitly state the start value 1, and then the end value is 10, right here. So by itself, this is just the end value. Implicitly, it has the value 0 in here. But in here, we explicitly state the start value 1, and then the end value 10, right here. So what will it iterate? It'll iterate. It'll actually assign 1 to var2, and then 2 to var2, and then 3 to var2. It'll go all the way from 1 to 9 in this range function. Remember, this range function returns a list. So it's going to be for var in bracket, it's going to hold 1 through 9 in the list. And so it's going to print hello world. And since it's going to iterate 9 times, it's going to print hello world 9 times, not 10, because the end value is not inclusive. So it'll just print out, well, I'm sorry, it'll assign 1 through 9 to var2, but it'll only iterate 9 times as specified in the range right here. I did this on purpose because you can actually work with the body of the for loop without using the var2. Remember, up here I used x up here and I printed out x, but down here I'm not using var2, so you guys should catch that. Now for down here, I'm using a start value for 1, end value as 10 like you see up here, but what I have right now is a step value. So it's going to start with 1, so var3 will be assigned to 1, go down to here into the body, print 1, then it'll go back up here, and then it'll assign var3 to 2, and then it'll go down here and say print 2. Oh, I'm sorry, I did that wrong. I'm sorry. It'll actually, this range function will return a list which will be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. I'm sorry, because I forgot the step value. This is a step. So this last number is a step. Okay, so it's going to start with 1, it's going to end with 10, but it's going to step by 2. So this built-in function range will return a list of 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. It won't return 10 because, you know, it's going by 2. And 10 is the last number. So it's going to be 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. So it's going to print 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. It is stepping by 2 instead of 1. Now up here and here, since I didn't explicitly state what the step value is, the step value for these two for clauses will be 1. Okay. Now for this one, the starting value will be 0. Implicitly, the step value will be 1 implicitly up here. Now down here, the step value implicitly will be 1. Remember, I explicitly stated a start value here. And then finally down here, we specified explicitly our start and our step value right here. And so yeah, that's pretty exciting, and that's the step value right there. So you can change it to 3. So if I did that, if I changed the step value to 3, it'll start with save that. So it'll start with 1, and then it'll step by 3, so it'll be 4, and then 7, and that's it. So 1, 4, 7 for this one. But I'll change that back to 2. Now for this one, this has the same layout or the syntax for the one above, except this one, the step value will be negative. So what this is saying is I want to step down -1 each iteration. So I want to start with a greater value. So I want to start with 3 and then step down to 0. Step down to 1 because the end value is not inclusive. So this range function will return a list of 3, 2, 1. Since this is a negative, it'll step down each iteration or each loop by 1. So it'll print 3, 2, 1. Now finally, for this one, for y in range parentheses 1 comma 11, parentheses colon, we have our body right here. So what this is doing is assigning 1 to y for the first iteration, and then we go down to here. This is 1 to the power of 3, which is 3, right? So cube will be assigned 3, so it'll print original value 1, and this is a escape sequence with a \t, so this will tab over, and then finally in here it'll say cube value, and then it'll be 3. So if we did for the next iteration, it'll assign y to 2, then I'll go into here and say 2 to the power of 3, which is 8, I think. 2 to the power of 3, 8. So it'll say print original value 2, tab over cube value 8, right here. And I printed this out because I wanted to show you that I can actually access any of these variables in here outside of the for loop. So it's not like a function because I can access these variables from within the for loop. So if we want to run this again, and you'll see the output, so it's pretty long again. So for the last for loop, you can see all of this, and then it outputs y is 10 because I'm using the variable up here. Now in the function, you couldn't do this. If I had a function that encompasses from here to here, I couldn't do this because a function is like, I know this sounds really bad, but a function is like North Korea. So imagine like a function is like North Korea. So people can go into North Korea, but if they are local in North Korea, they can't get out. So again, a function, things can go into a function, but local variables cannot go out of the function. So I know that's really bad. But yeah, that's probably one of the best analogies that I've ever came up with. So yeah, take that to heart, and that'll definitely help you in the long run. So yeah, don't kill me, North Korea. Okay, yeah, that's it, I think. So before we go, I want to do one more thing. I want to see if I can print. I think I can print cube. Yeah, so it'll give me the last value of, the last value of cube. So y is 10 is printed. I'm printing out the cube right here, which the last value for y is 10, as you can see, and then cube is 1000. So yeah, again, like I was saying, if you're using a for loop, you can access those variables inside of the for loop. So you can access the variables in the body of the for loops anywhere within this function. As you can see, I'm using a function in here, so these for loops with these variables are local to this function. So okay, I'll stop talking. Okay, but keep this as a reference because this is kind of tricky. So maybe not, maybe it is, I don't know. But keep this as a reference. So today we just learned about everything about for loops, so which is a lot. So yeah, I'll see you in the next tutorial later on.